Welcome to the PCM Summer Shorts Movie Jam 48-hour Filmmaker Challenge
Quarantine Edition.
We're floating here from
the International Space Station where it's good and safe.
We're in our bubble. How about you?
You got to stay safe. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face.
Nope, there's no chance to touch our face.
There you go.
We've been doing this film festival. This is our 10th year doing this movie.
Can you believe that?
Can I have a high five?
That's right.
Oh!
Wow, hey now. Little zero G high five there.
So happy to be here. We've been working really hard, all the technical teams working their butts off to get this happening. And like I always like to say,
it's all a team effort, you know, it really is. And I think that's kind of like what this is all about, is it's about a team effort, you know, we're all in this together.
That's right.
And, you know, people are putting together their teams, and they're going to be making movies. They've got 48 hours to do this, and then they've got to have it finished. They got to send it to us, and we're going to put it on the air so that you folks at home can watch it very safely.
That's the point of this film festival. We have to do it all with quarantine restrictions and safety guidelines. So we cooled your cats.
And don't drink any bleach. Okay,
no.
whoever told you to drink bleach, don't listen to them.
Don't listen to them.
Don't do that. Okay?
Yes.
Listen to the doctors. Science, man.
That's how we got in space.
I know. I was gonna say, where would we be without science? Well, we would be in the Stone Age, and you know, living in caves, hunting like big woolly mammoths and stuff. Not me. I would not hunt a woolly mammoth. Rabbits. I could catch a rabbit. That's ridiculous. Who even does that? But yeah, so about the 48-hour movie challenge.
Yeah, we started this 10 years ago, and we're, you know,
they said it would never last.
Every year, it's a challenge to come up with the clues that our filmmakers come up, you know, and put together in their films. And usually, we have had audiences, live audiences, and we've had business support from
in the time before. As they say now.
At the what? The night?
In the time before.
In the time before.
That's the way they refer to it, is in the time before, when people could, you know, actually see each other and touch.
It was years ago, it feels, that we've been in quarantine forever.
But, you know, it can't last forever. Eventually, people will be able to come out of their hidey holes and,
so we're hoping this is our first annual and only annual quarantine edition, virtual. But it does give us pause, you know, it helps our filmmakers be more creative and think of other ways to make things happen that they want to happen.
Exactly, because we are all challenged. You know, these are challenging times, and so you have to rise to the challenge and,
Float to the
say,
top.
hey, challenge, don't tell me what to do, okay? Right? So that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
And you're going to see some really interesting stuff. We've got a couple of videos that are already presented for you to tell you about BCM, Berkeley Community Media, what it's about, what it's here for.
Yep, our community is awesome. We have a great team structure. So executive director is going to be speaking, and we're going to have our facilities operator and some other amazing people coming on and telling us about their experience with BCM and how you could join and be part of our community, get to be a member, learn how to use the equipment, and then check it out and provide content for the channel.
Why shoot a movie on your phone when you can use actual cameras? That's what they used to do in the time before. They used to use actual cameras, and they would edit like video using a computer, not just their phones. I mean, it was crazy. How did we live?
But you could use your phone now.
You can.
You don't have to have fancy equipment. That's what this is all about too, is using the essentials. Like, what are the bare bones things that you actually need to survive in this world, and what does it pare down to? Like, that are the things that make you really happy, and
the priorities.
Yeah, the priorities.
What really matters in life, you know?
I mean,
the one good thing that has come out of all of this, I think, is that people are learning to listen better, because you have to listen really, really hard to understand what somebody's saying when they're wearing a mask. Okay. Well,
Yeah, we've learned really a big lessons about how to enunciate and how to really get our message clearly out there with a mask on. And we're just excited to have this film festival to see what people come up with about sharing their world that they're living in.
and so why don't you, speaking of that, watch this?
Thank you so much for joining me on the Zoom call. I know you're in Colorado and away from the family in Berkeley, the BCM channel.
Yes.
There with your family and helping out. And also want to say thank you so much for keeping a good captain stewardship of BCM. And maybe you can give an update about how we're doing at the station and what our future looks like and our partnerships.
Okay, yeah. Well, we've got some exciting things coming up because I just actually found out the other day that the City Council did approve our art grant for the Civic Arts Foundation. So we did get a grant from them, and then we also got the grant from the Chancellor's grant. So those are going to be two big projects that we're going to be doing over the next year. The Chancellor's Grant is going to be about public safety, about fire safety, personal safety, earthquake preparedness, mitigation, that sort of thing. And then we're going to be able to continue to do Art Beat with Susan Duhan Felix. So that's going to be really exciting. And all we have to do is kind of work out the kinks of how we're going to do that now, because we've got a whole new world that's happening right now. So
yeah, tell us about how it's affected BCM in general.
Well, because we had moved to the old City Hall a couple of years ago, it's already been a different animal. So we've kind of been checking things out, but it also kind of freed us up to be able to do more shows outside with our employees, so that we were able to cover a lot more things. We're working right now with UC Theater on a partnership to help them work on their training program that they have for people who want, young people who want to learn how to put on a concert. And the concert series at this point has been primarily about, they teach people how to do from box office to security to ticket sales to booking to front of house to back of house. They teach them all of the aspects of putting on a live theater production. And now I've been talking to them for several years, and now I think they kind of feel like they've got some stability and they can start to work in a new direction. And this the COVID-19 kind of prompted them to take a step further a little bit sooner than I think that they had planned on. But that's the idea, is that we want to start training people on how to do production, capturing of those productions on film, digital film. So that's really exciting. They got some new PTZ robotic cameras, and we went over and started working with them on that. And so that's exciting. And it's been, I think it's just been really nice to be able to do things like the Barbara Lee event, be able to not feel like when people call and say, hey, we have this great event that's coming up that we want to have shot. And before, because we were kind of tied to the high school, we couldn't really do that, and now we can. So that's exciting. What else?
And it's also furthering the mission of BCM, which is really to educate people with and empower with the equipment and the knowledge that's used to be able to share our voices widely. And the video is really so important, especially in these COVID times. We're all at home.
Yeah, and everybody's on video now. Everybody's getting used to it a lot more. And I think that also, I think also when a crew goes out and covers an event, when it's not one of our member producers, which the member producers are fantastic, but they're usually, it's a lot of work to do the production and get together a crew. So a lot of times they would be single people who would be showing up to tape the event. And I think that when we show up with the Sling Studio or the TriCaster and do a big production like that with multiple cameras, multiple camera people, more people will come up and say, who are you? What are you, what are you doing here? And then gives us the opportunity to say, well, you can do it too.
Right. It's a win-win.
You're welcome to come in and become a member, and you can learn how to use all this fantastic equipment. And I kind of felt like before we were kind of the best kept secret in Berkeley, because I had so many people from across the street when we were at the high school come over and go, I never knew there was a TV studio here. And despite all of our efforts, I mean, I really feel like over the years we've put in a lot of effort into getting the word out and trying to get what BCM is all about to the public. But I think that there's so much for people to deal with that it kind of just went right over their heads. And I think now, we're able to do more things with the city.
Yep.
They want us to cover more of the other commission events and or meetings and things like that. And we did the Spirit Awards, and so. Or the Vision, sorry.
Down to the Visionary Awards, right?
Yeah.
Through the Berkeley Chamber.
I think those things are really important to cover, and for years we were just unable to do it, and now we can. So
that's amazing, and I think that it deepens our, our, like you were saying, like our ability to be connected to those different associations in a better way. Like we can help support and bring more content to the channel. So we're always looking for more content.
Right.
And we can't train anybody at this time though, right? So we're working on just whatever our member base is. We're still able to check out equipment to people.
Yeah, we could still check out our equipment to people, and if we get a group of people together who want to do a class, we did put together some Final Cut Pro and Premiere classes for people, and we did have some people come in, but it is a different time. I think I think once people start getting used to, somebody said the other day, whenever this virus, whenever this COVID-19 figures out what it wants us to do. And I thought that was a really good way because everybody keeps talking about going back to normal, and no, it's not normal. It's going to be a new normal. And somebody said, no, it's whatever this thing decides it wants to be. And I think once people start getting used to that and start realizing this is what it is, this is an opportunity. Everything to me has always been an opportunity. It's an opportunity to change. There's so many innovative things that are coming out across, around the country, around the world, from all sorts of different directions. Not just video production, but video production, food preparation. I mean, just everything is kind of, people are going, well, we have to keep this stuff going. How are we going to do it? And people are becoming really innovative, I think.
That's great.
It's very difficult, trying, and kind of scary, but it's also exciting because there's so much change in the air. Not only that, but the Black Lives movement,
it's bringing up a lot of these different things that have been under the surface for a long time. And then we get to have a chance to look at them and see how we, even if we think we were all okay and how we've dealt with things in the past, it's a new opportunity to say, oh, well, maybe I wasn't so PC and understanding. It's like definitely eye-opening. And like you're saying, I love that your attitude is of opportunity and, possibility as captain of BCM.
Right.
That's really
and it's challenges, I mean, and that's the way I've always looked at PEG Access, Public Education and Government Television. That's the way I've always looked at it, is that this is where you really see what's going on. I used to have people call up and complain about some show that they saw, and it was usually about sex or something like that, which I always thought was interesting because there's so much violence on
regular TV.
And then the thing that they're complaining about is something like that. But they would call up and I would give them kind of the rules, the FCC rules of, well, we're actually prohibited by law from censoring. We cannot censor. We are a free speech platform for anyone who wants to put their message on.
Yep.
And I would always be faced with someone saying, well, so you're saying that if a white supremacist or a Nazi, neo-Nazi group came on and made a television show, you'd put that on, and I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the good thing is, then you would know who the white supremacists and the neo-Nazis were. And I think that that's, really, really important, that it becomes a thing that if you believe something, that's what free speech is about, is you can talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But free speech comes with responsibility. You have to take responsibility for your beliefs and your direction in life and what you want out of the world and how you want the world to be. So if you take responsibility for it and everybody takes responsibility for it, then it becomes a positive thing as opposed to a negative thing.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you so much. That's a really great blanket for snuggling up to free speech.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think it's important, especially now, because our free speech is being,
it's threatened around the world in so many different ways, and little sneaky ways of undermining the ways information is translated, and we never know what really is.
We have to keep fighting for it. We have to keep fighting for it, because there's a reason it's the first. There's a reason it's the First Amendment.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Brian, for upholding free speech at bcmtv.org. We know that we can always depend on the channel for lots of interesting content and always changing and evolving partnerships within Berkeley. And I'm really glad to talk with you and also to work with you. Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks for being such a great partner for all these years.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much.
I love you, Melanie.
Oh, thanks, Brian. I really appreciate that. I feel like COVID has kind of separated us physically, but I'm still there. My heart is definitely dedicated to BCM and the team. So I'm looking forward to more good times.
I know that.
Yeah, more good times.
Hi, folks. David and Grimes here from BCM, just to give you guys an update on where we are right now with COVID-19. It is trying times for everybody, but we've been adjusting, and so we are available for checking out equipment now. We're following all safety protocols by disinfecting our equipment before and after it comes into our location. We do also have editing stations available for our current members, as long as you are still in good standing with as far as your classes you've taken and being paid up on your dues. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we have all of our classes on hold at the moment, so we are waiting for more guidance from Governor Gavin Newsom on that front. But once it is safe, we'll be coming out with a new list of our class dates, so stand by for that, and be sure to check in on our website as well as check our newsletter. And just so you guys know, partnerships that we have coming up here in the future, BCM is going to be working with the Downtown Berkeley Association to help produce the Berkeley Summer Arts Online Fest. So be on the lookout for that, as well as our 48-hour film festival. So hope to see you around sometime soon.
And so much for sharing your great information with us about BCM and the update, how we're doing with classes and our continuing to fight for free speech.
Like Gloria Gaynor would say, I will survive. And we will, most likely.
Did she also leave a cake out in the rain? I don't remember. Was that the one from the disco
that was
days?
MacArthur Park?
Oh, I love that song.
That was a great one. It wasn't apparently about the MacArthur Park here in the East Bay, I don't think. I think there's one in Los Angeles. Okay.
So we're going to have a chance now to take a look at the incredible Mike Vaughn, who's been with BCM for, I don't know,
forever,
endless times, and I've known him since I was in 7th grade. Oh my gosh, amazing.
We're afraid we're going to have to put him down soon, but
he's
hanging in there.
He's got secret tips on how to make a 48-hour filmmaking tips from Mike Vaughn. Thank you. Watch this.
Yes.
Oh, hello there. Hi. Welcome to How To in 48 Hours with me, Mike Vaughn. And it's not like how to rob a bank or how to do something wonderful like make a cure for COVID. It's how to make a short film in 48 hours. And so we're going to talk about that. How do you do that? You know, when I was a kid, back in the Stone Age, when I would make a film with a camera like this, a Super 8, we'd have to scrap the money together to buy the cartridge that only had about 5 minutes, and then to get the film back took more than a week. And then after that, we had to cut the film in a linear fashion. And not like you guys today that get all this great technology. You can make and shoot and cut a film on your phone. Anyway, so we're going to talk today about how do you make a film for the 48-hour film challenge. Now, I've had a lot of fun as the director of education supervising interns and making about 5 of these. So about half the length that the BCM 48-hour film challenge has been going on, I've been having a fun time making this. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about how do you actually do this? How do you write a film on Friday night based on these great 3 secret ingredients that you'll get that you're going to shoot the following Saturday, and then on Saturday night get a great rest because you're going to be up bright and early Sunday after you go to church and have your breakfast, whatever. Then you start editing your film, and you got to turn your film in Sunday in the evening. So you got to give yourself enough time to write, shoot, and cut. But don't panic, because I've been working on some really great resources which are also available on our website that obviously you know about. And that's the way to register, and that's the way to participate in this wonderful 48-hour film challenge, COVID edition, and I think you're going to have a great time. So I want to unpack this in 4 steps. A general idea about what it means and why it's fun and what you can learn from it. And then we'll talk about how do you actually write the film by yourself or with a group of people on Friday night. How do you then have good leadership and a safe, fun, effective set on Saturday? And then how do you intelligently and artistically cut your film with the music, with your sound effects, with your credits, nice transitions, and then get the right type of export so then you can send it off and we can enjoy the fruits of your labor on that Sunday night as we celebrate each other as filmmakers working in this very strange time and with a sense of urgency. So the first thing I just want to address is that the idea of making a film in 48 hours isn't really a Herculean type of, and that's not even a word, I just made that up, certainly the way I pronounced it, effort. But what it is it allows you to think creatively about writing something that you can actually shoot the next day. You may be by yourself, it may be you and your brother or a roommate, maybe you've got a small social COVID pod that you can keep a social distance from and make a film. But the big thing about this is thinking about narrative, leadership, artistic merit, and also a sense of fun in becoming a better filmmaker. And because we're all among friends, nobody's going to say, oh, what a weird movie, what a strange movie, what an awkward movie. No, they're going to celebrate you because you've made a film in 48 hours. And so let's look into the 3 ways that we can talk about writing, shooting, and cutting the film. So one of the things that makes a 48-hour film challenge really exciting is that they always have these 3 secret ingredients that you've got to put in your film, and everybody does it. And this isn't so much so that you don't make your movie ahead of time, but that it actually should inspire impromptu and how you would actually craft your narrative. And of course, you can make any kind of film you want. You can make an abstract, expressionistic film. You can make a comedy, a horror, a sci-fi, a romantic comedy. You can make a documentary. You could shoot interesting things around your neighborhood and use a voiceover narrative. So you can make this movie by yourself with your phone in whatever editing system you have. And sometimes, even on some phones, you can edit directly on the phone. So one of the things that I find to be really helpful when collaborating, or even if you're writing on your own, is you take the 3 secret ingredients and you write them down. Either you can write them down, well, here's the phrase, here's the object, and here's the theme. But sometimes it's fun to write it this way, like landscape, because you kind of get a bit more room in each space to write this out. So a few years ago, the phrase was, don't go down the rabbit hole. Well, so what did that mean to us? Well, we talked about Alice in Wonderland. We talked about the metaphor of getting distracted and getting carried away from what you're really supposed to do. The image was a baby. And it was like, wow, well, what does a baby mean? Promise, new life, hope, miracle, things like that. And then the theme was, because it was the anniversary of the Summer of Love, the theme was flower power. So what does that mean? What did it mean to the people of that time? What does that mean to the generation of teenagers that were making the film with us then, right? So ideas and phrases that just come to mind, stream of consciousness, bullet points, and then what also really helps, because a motion picture is really about action, is to write active verbs that are associated with each ingredient, right? And then adjectives. So that really helps because that might inspire you. So in our area, we came up with, well, what would happen if people got distracted and went down the rabbit hole and distracted from their primary focus? The flower power, well, the boy in the movie had some prop flowers that he didn't know had been laced with something, so when people smelled the flowers, they hallucinated. And then one girl, because we didn't have access to a baby, but one girl thought a bag of Doritos was her baby. So she looks at the bag of Doritos, and we cut to a little baby laughing, and that was her hallucination. Anyway, so you see how the 3 secret ingredients should inspire you to write, rather than think, oh, and then you come up with some kind of narrative and then try to jam in or just put a sticker of the ingredients in your movie. Every time they do that, it's like, oh, you've written some other thing and then you were obligated to put the 3 secret ingredients in, and you've done it. And with all respect to some filmmakers, it really didn't come from a place. So think about, what do the 3 secret ingredients mean to you personally? What does it mean to the people you're writing with? That's really important. So what we found to be fun is, back in the day when people got together, we would go and sit at a cafe that was open later in the evening, and we would have some fries and a pitcher of root beer or something, and all write ideas out. Now, you may be doing this with your friends over a remote type of way, which is fine. So there should be a scribe. You can also do a shared doc where you share it with everybody, give them editorial privileges, and they can write in and things like that. So there's a sense of community and equity where people are participating in creating the narrative. And sometimes people say, well, let's come up with the problem, or let's come up with the inciting incident, or let's come up with a particular character. And yeah, but also think about how a story might flow. Now, you have to remember, in a short film, you do not have the time liberty that you do in a longer short film, like that's 20 minutes or half hour, and certainly not if you've written screenplays where people have a lot of time to set up the inciting incident and have breathing room for this. You're going to be working on a film that's under 10 minutes, and I strongly recommend that you write something and shoot something and cut something that runs about 5 minutes or 6 minutes at max. It's a lot more fun, it's a lot more accessible, you have a lot more authority over making your film, and it's a lot easier to cut, obviously. But in the 6-minute film, if you were to think about a 3-act structure, well, in a 90-minute film, the first act is about 30 minutes, the second act is about an hour, the third act is about 30 minutes. So if you were to think about the beginning part of a 6-minute film, well, you got to have that inciting incident happen pretty easy. And one of the things that's really important with short films is a singular problem. You can't have multiple problems and other things going on with that. A singular problem and a primary singular hero or heroine or whatever is your primary character, because it doesn't mean that you can't have really great supporting parts or allies or a nemesis and things like that. But you really need to have a strong central character, get your inciting incident and build your world early on and get off to the races right away within about 2 minutes. So then you can really build up through the next 4 or 5 minutes what's really going on with happening, and you can take another couple of minutes to get to what's called a plot point or a turning point, so that your main battle is really happening within the middle 3 minutes, and then you've got your third act is just a couple of minutes, and then you've got a nice little resolution. So just some notes that we were thinking about. When you're thinking about writing, what's really critical is you've got to write the movie that you can actually shoot. And sometimes when people are very creative and they get a little manic, well, I can get a green sheet and make a green screen, and then I can make a cardboard thing and a spaceship, and I can get my brother to play the monster. Well, you know, you got to think about your crew and your cast. Hopefully you've got everybody locked in early on. Hopefully now as you're watching this, certainly Friday night, you can't be calling people at 10 o'clock at night and say, hey, would your 5-year-old kid be in the movie, or your baby, or can I borrow your car, or can I shoot in your shop? It's a little late in the game to do that. So you got to really think about what you can really shoot the next day. What's accessible to you? Here's the other thing, locations. Really important not to say, oh, you know, we could shoot at Lake Merritt, and then we could shoot in San Francisco, and then we could shoot in the Tilden Park. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. You've got to get in traffic or in BART or the bus to deal with all that? Nah, you know what? Keep the locations to a minimum. And here's the thing. 3 locations is great for a short film, right? And, you know, you're somewhere in your apartment, the park, and then maybe somewhere else. There's 2 things about location that's really important: light and sound. If right now we're in a quiet room and it's kind of quiet outside on Martin Luther King, but if we were trying to shoot a dialogue scene at Center and Shattuck during the day, well, we'd be up the creek. Or if we were trying to shoot dialogue down at the marina, you wouldn't have it. The other thing is that where you're shooting, think about how does light fall in that space at particular times. So hopefully you're familiar. If you're shooting in your apartment or your house, think about, well, where's the southern and western exposure, and how does light fall at a particular time? You may want to shoot in your living room, but sometimes a living room just gets blasted, and other times, if that's on the north side of the house, then you may not have enough light at the time. So certainly, as you're thinking about that, and here we've got these LED lights, and if you don't have access to lamps or other things, then you've got to be really creative in your writing about what you're shooting and what do you think that would work in, because you're doing some pre-production stuff even as you're writing. Okay, time. Time is important in writing, because you've got shooting time of how long will it take you to shoot something, and screen time of how long will that appear and run in the motion picture. So that avoid writing for this kind of thing complicated scenes that would include a complex stunt or a montage of somebody riding their bike all around town, or working out in different things of running and lifting weights and swimming. You know, you're going to be all day with somebody in the pool and lifting weights and things like that. Write stories that have singular scenes, and they can be kind of long, but what you don't want to do is paint yourself into a corner where you've got to realize, oh, I've got the guy driving around town, and I got to mount the camera somewhere, where he's on BART, or that kind of things. For this thing, write what you can shoot. Critical. Here's another thing that's really important, that even though you're rushing to get the shots, you should have a point of view as a filmmaker. Critical. Artistically, with your authority as the director. And that means that how you stage a scene, how you collaborate with the photographer to photograph it, you should have an artistic viewpoint and an attitude toward your characters and what's happening. What you don't want to do is just shoot the thing in a wide shot and then maybe get little close-up and then shoot the guy leaving the room. And, well, that's rather perfunctory, and that's rather kind of boring. What you really want to do is see, can you articulate some dynamism and some artistic vision in your film with what you're doing. Another reason to A, keep it short, and B, keep it simple. Because the shorter your script and the more simple the narrative, the more liberty you will have in thinking about, I wonder what's a really great way for me to shoot this. Is it kind of objective, that I'm looking at the scene objectively, or am I seeing something from the character's point of view, which would be subjective? And am I panicking? Am I in love? Am I fantasizing? Am I freaking out? Am I feeling nervous? Whatever it is, you want to do with that camera and your sound and your cutting what you want the audience to feel. But the number one thing that you've got to think about always, not just in days of COVID, is safety. You've got to have a safe set. Physically safe, emotionally safe, and also just safe for people to feel creative. Critical. You know, people like a strong leader, but nobody likes a bossy boss and feels like I'm here helping you make your movie. No, the deal with this kind of thing, it's why you register as a team, is it's collective, but like a lot of teams, you have a coach or you have a captain that's going to steer the ship and make sure that everybody has a sense of equity and a sense of enjoyment. So you want to think about when you're writing, how comfortable are people? People might not be comfortable doing a combat scene or getting in very close proximity. And also you want to make sure that you have access to a clean bathroom and hand washing, and that you also bring with you hand sanitizer. And of course, people should be wearing masks. And in this day and age, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people made films that were kind of like Omega Man type thing, or people distanced from each other wearing the mask in the movie, which of course is very appropriate. Now, next, we're going to talk about how do you actually shoot the darn thing, okay? So how do you actually shoot this movie that you've written the night before? Well, hopefully you've had a good night's sleep and a really healthy, nice breakfast, and you have already assigned people that are going to help you, even if it's 2 or 3, some type of job, and you've already thought about and gotten permission for location and how you're going to do the logistics. So here are some things that we're going to talk about really quickly, just to kind of think about. Some of it might be like, well, that's obvious. Sometimes you get so excited about something that people forget an obvious thing. I've actually been on sets where people are really excited and they forgot a memory card. I've worked on things where people forgot the microphone at the house, and then they had to resort to the on-camera mic with a DSLR. And we're human, we make these mistakes, but if you make a checklist the night before of crew, what the responsibilities are, what time they're coming, and the equipment of what you're bringing, including what you're borrowing, so you have an inventory of what everything is and where it goes when you're done. Okay, in the morning when you get your crew together, you want to have about 90 minutes, and I kid you not, and I know everybody's really eager to start shooting the film, but if you do the pre-production in that morning on what you're going to do that day, you will have less stress, you will be more creative, and you'll be more efficient in making your film. So in that pre-production time, how do you use it? Well, making a shot list, and that is the order in which you're going to shoot the film, and that's really important because if you've got a couple of scenes at the house and they're interspersed throughout the film, you want to shoot all the scenes in the house at one time and then go do things that are in proximity. Now, sometimes light may affect the order of operations in how you're going to shoot it, but that's critical. So another thing that's really important is to assign duties. Now, you may be doing this on your own, and there's an intern at Berkeley Community Media during COVID who's made 2 short films by himself with the phone resting somewhere and put it on a tripod, and he made this great thing, even in one film, play 2 different characters. It's a delicious film, it's great. But nonetheless, if you can have like 4 people that are working with you on the crew that, and sometimes actors have to hold a microphone or do other things, but if you can have the actors not necessarily be part of the crew, that's preferable. Director of photography, boom operator who's also the sound person, and then a producer who works also as a first AD, making sure that that shot list is respected, and that if you say, I'm going to spend 20 minutes on this kitchen scene, that you don't end up spending 40 minutes, and you get yourself in a hole as the night goes on. Also, you're going to have to feed people. You have to. You have an obligation to feed people and make sure they have access to a bathroom and hand washing, and also about 3 quarts of water per person for that full day. And one of the things that's really important in feeding people, you can't just have a big vat of stew or mac and cheese and chips and salsa. No. You've got to ask people on the Friday, do you have any food allergies? Do you have anything that you're restricted? Vegan diet, gluten-free, whatever it is. And so when you order their food and you have it delivered or somebody goes picks it up, that is handed to the person in a bag individually, their sandwich, a little bag of chips, and their bottle of water, their can of Coke, or whatever it is. Critical, okay? So that you move right along. Also in that morning, if you can make something like a rough storyboard, and that's where you start thinking about, how can I make this artistic? How can I make this expressionistic? How can I really make this scene with the camera resonate with what's happening emotionally? Are you supposed to be terrified? Are you supposed to be turned on? Are you supposed to be curious? Are you supposed to be finding it to be beautiful? Are you supposed to be seduced? Use the camera as the emotional gateway to what you want your audience to feel. It's really important. Here's the other thing. A good productive set is a happy and healthy set. And the leadership is really important. So that's also what I was saying earlier, that people want to feel that they're valued, that their contributions are needed, and you don't want to make people feel like, oh, I'm working on Jimmy's film, great. Oh, he's getting a sandwich for me. No, you want people to say, we're making this film together, because it's a team. Nonetheless, the producer really, first AD, supports the director, so the director has the freedom to do creatively with the director of photography about working with the actors and the lighting and the framing, and that food person really makes sure that there's enough nutrition and energy and people are fed, right? And you don't want to take too long for lunch. 20, 25 minutes is plenty. People take a break, sit down, relax, put their feet up, and then get back to it. You don't want your lunch break to turn into 30, 40, 50 minutes. Say, oh, well, we've got until 7. No, you want to plan for anything that contingency that could go wrong, but you want to have a safe and fun filmmaking experience. And so you're not panicking at the end of the night about getting shots or feeling regret, and you don't want to do too much coverage of a scene. Well, let me shoot from this angle and that angle, and let me get that actor here to do the 3rd and 4th and 5th take. No, because you'll be there and you won't get your movie made. So you need to be disciplined, you have a sense of urgency, a sense of improvisational guerrilla filmmaking, and if you get into that vibe and into that rhythm, it's an extremely fun event. And I think that you are going to make a wonderful film. You write something that you can shoot, have a lot of fun shooting it, be safe, have fun, take artistic risks, and make sure that you are grateful to all the people that are there. You say thank you to everybody that's helped you. One thing that's critical to do at the point of shooting is you have the producer make sure that they have the spelling of the name that crew member or actor wants in the movie. And if somebody let you shoot in their bakery or little shop for a bit, you say special thanks to the donut place and Jimmy the manager. You see what I mean? You put that in your credits. Okay, so thanks a lot. And now next we're going to talk about how do you cut this thing. So you wrote a film on Friday night with yourself or your few friends, And then on Saturday, after your breakfast, you all got together, and for 7 or 10 or 12 hours, you went and you shot the film. And hopefully you had a great, safe shoot, you learned something, and you got all your shots. You did what's called in the industry, you made your day. And that's wonderful, to make your day and get all the shots on your shot list and feel proud and excited about that is really wonderful. Some people on Saturday night export all their footage into a folder on their external, and they sometimes, depending on how tired you are, you may just scan through it and look at it, and hopefully you're not going, "Merp." Hopefully you're going, wow, that's actually great. And then, now you're going to go to bed, get a really good Saturday night's sleep. And then on Sunday, you're going to need to cut it. Now here's another reason why you need to write a shorter film, and even though your film can be under 10 minutes, you really do want to write a 5 or 6 minute film, because you want to give yourself, and this is about the average time, whether you're just starting out or whether you've been doing this for decades like me, in this kind of film, it's about an hour per minute for cutting, okay? So that means if your film is 6 minutes long, you need to give yourself at least 6 hours of real work. Now, it's a real dedication that it takes, right? And there's so many different editing systems that you have access to, right? Keep in mind reverse engineering of when the film is due. And so from your export to your upload, you've got to remember that it could take, depending on your internet speed, like 30 minutes, hopefully not that long, to upload to the BCM 48-Hour Film Challenge website. So you've got to not be working up to the last minute. You want to finish an hour before the film is to be submitted so that you can really get it through, okay? When you import your footage, and I'm sure a lot of you have got experience making films and editing, you want to put your stuff in the external hard drive in a folder that's called footage, right? Or a master one. You'll have footage, you might then have a folder inside of that that's the sound effects and music. Now, some people, it really helps them to, in all your footage, to arrange it, even though you shot your film out of sequence, to make bins that have the film to be in the sequences that you need to do sequentially, and even then name them. Scene 1, take 1, scene 2, take 3, whatever. And as you're making your film, it helps if you had a script supervisor, that's wonderful, but on your script as the director, that you might go, I like take 3 of that particular shot. And so that way, ahead of time, you have your notes for the next day. Right? Now here's something really important to remember. You do not want to discount all that hard work you've done in your editing by putting in and using cheap, cheesy transitions. Now, with all respect to iMovie and other types of transitions that are really fun for covering the day at the beach or your kid's soccer game or that kind of thing, and those are really amusing and they're wonderful. But you don't want to use weird types of transitions in your film, even if it's a comedy, right? Direct cut and cutting on the action really helps. Sometimes a cross dissolve helps to go from one place to another. So you really want to use your transitions intelligently, and they should match the energy of what's happening in the scene, and think about how does the tempo from one sequence to another go about so that transition works. Even in a short film, sometimes if there needs to be a little bit of time passage, a fade to black, hold for a second, and then you come out of that black on the new shot. You can do that. Don't hold that black too much, okay? Music. There is a lot of resources for the music that you can use in your film and even have it distributed on YouTube or other platforms. So Creative Commons has a lot of free music and copyright-free music, old music, jazz, American music, classical music, abstract music, that kind of thing. It's great. There's another really great film library that we like to subscribe to here, and it's called Epidemic Sounds, and it's very affordable. And not only do they have a wide variety of music, you can put in the mood, the tempo, the beats per minute, that kind of thing, and they've got everything from rock and reggae and things like that. Plus, they give you all of the, you can either have the whole thing, or you can take the threads independently, and if you don't like the lyric, somebody singing in it, but you like the music, or you don't like the guitar or the other instrument in it, you can take that out as well. But Epidemic Sounds, good investment. There's my plug for them. Okay, the same is true for sound effects. Epidemic has sound effects, Creative Commons has sound effects. There's a lot of ways to record and make sound effects, even like weird ambient sound. So if you're making a horror film and there needs to be a creepy sound, or a science fiction film of some kind of ambient sound, you can get that as well. Okay? Credits. Really important when you put your credits in, as I've said before, proper spelling of the person's name and what their job is. And don't let that roll right through. And some people make their credits go so fast you can't read it. So if you're holding a single title, the name of the movie or the name of the director, about 3 seconds per single title works. And as it's scrolling through, can you read it aloud if you were not a native English speaker? That's a really good technique to use. Can you read it out loud and get a friend to look at it, and also have your friend read the credits as they scroll out loud. And if they can't get to it, it's too fast. Okay? So exporting, really important for this, that you don't export your film in some huge thing like ProRes 422 or that kind of thing. In the editing systems we use on the Apple, it's H.264, and it will come out in .mov or MP4, right? And export, if you've exported or uploaded to YouTube, that's the format you want. You don't necessarily have to go down to 720. You can still stay in 1920, 1080, and you want to make sure that you're in P and not I. You want to be in progressive, not interlaced. Interlaced is how they use in Europe and other places. In the United States, P for progressive. Very important that you do your careful, even though if you're panicking, if you're going to the last minute, that's why you don't rush to the last minute, that you look at your export intelligently, and it's the same frame rate as you shot it in and all of that, okay? Then you look at your export. Oh, here's the other thing. You got to make sure that your decibels, when you're mixing your sound, are not peaking. So you want to stay somewhere around, I think, -8, right, for some scenes, -6 for quiet dialogue. You don't want it to peak to 0 unless there's a gunshot or a scream or something, but for the majority of your time, about -8 for your decibels, right? And then look at your export a couple of times to make sure before you submit it. Now here's the thing. The overall thing about the 48-hour film challenge. Have fun, be collaborative, take risks, and enjoy making the film. And please, be safe not only in your filmmaking, but please be safe with this COVID. I'm looking forward to seeing your films, and hopefully, at some point, I'd like to meet you in person. So thanks a lot for spending time with me, and I'm really excited about the BCM 48-hour Film Challenge COVID edition, and I hope you will be too.
Wow, what a fabulous master class from
Oh my God, thank you so much, Michael Vaughn,
Mike
for that.
Vaughn.
That was very informative and instructive as well.
You know, he has some really great tips in there about, you know, the use of time and making sure you get your shots and making sure people have their jobs assigned and their duties to make sure they're doing
She said duties.
we don't know about that in space.
I'm all about the poop joke, folks.
Mike Vaughn is a master. We're so happy to have that.
He's the best.
We're really excited too because the secret ingredients are coming soon.
That's right. So what basically every movie, in order for us to be sure that you didn't just have this on your shelf and whipped it out, just like in the last minute and a half, there will be 3 secret ingredients that have to appear someplace in your movie, and it's going to be a phrase, an object, and a theme. So you have to work those in very craftily. Try not to squeeze them all into one shot. We've seen people do that a lot. They
Let
get
them
the
guide you. This year's theme is
resistance.
the object is butterfly.
Butterfly.
And the phrase,
Time out. All right.
so it's up to
Assemble
you.
your teams.
Ready your
Make
team.
your movie.
Make your movie.
The clock
Is ticking.